Mhm.
Indubitably.
Indubitably.
Pinkies up.
Welcome to Hot Mess Moments.
Yes, we are here. I don't know why
You went like Batman a little bit.
you know what? It was giving very
Or Bane.
Bane, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Bad
actually, you
man.
know what it is? It's almost my voice for Bill in Dead by Daylight.
Yeah, it is.
Oh.
It's so bad.
My voice for Bill, for those who don't know, Bill is a character from what's the original game? He's from Evil Dead,
Left 4 Dead.
Left 4 Dead. And it's Bill Overbeck, and he's a character as well in Dead by Daylight. And I've given him the worst voice of all time, which I can only describe as like a partway between Bane and Sean Connery, but like super horny. Like that's what I go for.
Yeah.
When I talk, oh yeah, why don't you come over here and massage the air above my body to make me feel better? An old man feeling much better now. Like that's the kind of stuff.
This
Also,
is the Batman I did not sign up for.
I know. Would you believe I was not cast in the new like Robert Pattinson?
Speaking of which, so excited for that.
Are you really?
Oh my God. I'm a huge Batman fan. Look, for those that don't know, I'm so excited for the film that I literally bought the Lego Batmobile from the movie to have on my little cabinet. I like it because it looks like a retro. Like it doesn't look like a super armored vehicle.
You should get another one, but you should get the Lego set that has hockey pants so that you can go, I'm not wearing hockey pants.
I hate you.
That's my favorite line. That's my favorite line from the Batman movies. What differentiates you from me? I'm not wearing hockey pants.
So stupid.
So good.
I love it. But hello, everyone. My name is Dylan Zahner, also known as 8-Bit Dylan Online. That's on Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You name it, I'm there, baby.
And I'm Beth, also known as AugustaWind11. You can find me on all those same sites as well at AugustaWind11. And welcome to Hot Mess Moments. We are 3 minutes in and we have not even said welcome to Hot Mess Moments.
That's
but you know what Hot Mess Moments is? So hot, such a mess, such a moment.
Yes. And Lost is my favorite show, but I've never seen The Nanny.
And I've never seen Lost before, except for I'm about to go off on these episodes tonight. But The Nanny's my favorite show. You catch our Nanny coverage on Tuesdays. And we're back with a Lost coverage.
I know you've been simmering and waiting to watch these 2 episodes of Lost. And I can't wait to break it down and talk about it a bit. Yeah, it was good. But how's your week been?
So far, okay. Yeah, it's okay. Next week, I'm going to be going back up north, so that'll be nice. I'll see some of my friends, and I'll get to meet a whole bunch of new students who I'll be interviewing to do this semester next year. So that's fun, and I'm excited to be back on campus and see some colleagues in person.
Hell yeah.
And then I'm hoping to see my parents for a night too and just say hi.
Nice.
Yeah. How's your week going?
Going pretty good. This big trip that I was supposed to do last year but got delayed because of COVID is now happening in April. Berleezy, who is a music artist / YouTuber / Twitch streamer, was going to do a birthday ball / concert to celebrate his birthday. And so that got moved to April. So I'm excited to start planning for that and going there in April because I bought like a super snazzy tuxedo for it. And I'm getting use out of this. Gosh darn it. Like I bought this damn thing.
It's not the same one that you wore for the gaming awards, right?
No, this one is like it's like a red jacket, black pants, red bow tie. It's just a red and black ensemble that I bought. So
that sounds so nice.
It's gonna be awesome. I can't wait. It's gonna be so much fun. But I know that like I'm a little cautious about COVID, but I feel like because I'm so vaccinated now, I've gotten the booster. I'm just like, fuck it. I just want to interact with humans. I'm
I
so over just waiting.
yeah.
And like, I have the privilege, obviously, of working from home. So it's not like I'm going around interacting with humans again after
Yeah.
this trip. I'm going to go home and sit in my
Infect your
ass.
husband.
In fact, my husband, yes.
In sickness and health. No, well, see, that's the thing. Like so full disclosure. So my cousin is getting married. My little cousin, she's like my little sister. I'm 9 years
Aw,
older than her, and she's getting married this summer. I'm very excited.
that's cute.
And so we're doing a bachelorette party the first weekend in March, which will be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Which we're doing a wig party as one of the nights. So we're gonna like go out to eat and all these like brightly covered or colored wigs and such. So I bought 2 different wigs. One that was supposed to be, I thought it was going to be more like a green turquoise kind of thing. And it came out like much more blue than I thought. And like blue wasn't my color. Green was the color I was going for. So then I bought a second wig and I don't like that wig as much, but it's a better green. So we're going to see what it comes to. But regardless,
Stack them on top of each other.
actually, I was thinking about doing something like that and having layers, bitch. Because the issue with the green one is that I feel like it's really flat. So if
You
I
don't
had
want a
that
flat
underneath,
wig. Yeah.
no. And they're cheap, so it's not like I can really do much for them. So here we are. But
Tease them.
yeah, probably will. So my biggest issue, though, is that night we're supposed to go to a club. And when I've looked at the club the past few weeks, it's no masks, elbow to elbow. Like, I don't really want to do that. So I might be the old, like, I'm also fully 10 years older than everybody else who's on this bachelorette party. Like, I'm going to be the grandma on this. Like, literally, they're all like still in their drinking prime. And I'm like, I had a shot 7 hours ago and I need to pass out now. Like, it's going to be bad. But I'm already kind of preparing myself to be like, if I don't feel comfortable doing that, then like, I might just like say, y'all have fun. I'm not going to be like a mom about it, but I also have like an autoimmune issue and I don't feel like putting myself in that situation.
Oh, totally no. Yeah. I hear you. Yeah. It's
second night we're doing a PJ party, so I don't give a shit. We'll stay in the second night. So I'm good for that.
Hell yeah. That sounds fun, a PJ party. Okay. So we have a lot to talk about in these episodes. So I kind of want to get into it because I think there's a lot to talk about in both of them.
Yeah.
So it is now time for us to talk about Lost Season 2, Episode 21 and 22. That would be ? And 3 minutes.
I've only got 3 minutes.
I was gonna see how long I could be silent and just like not say anything and just see how long you would wait.
I was gonna wait, and then I was like, I want to say it this time. I want to break the silence.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. So lots to talk about.
So much to talk about.
So obviously we're going to start with question mark.
Yes. Thoughts, feelings, concerns, rating, all that jazz.
Okay, so question mark is a 9 out of 10 episode for me. I mean, really great. I liked the lore that we got to see of it. That brought up more questions, but resolved some things, kind of. Excuse me. I think we had some really good character moments throughout it. It's a fantastic episode. I really liked it. And I thought it was such an interesting one. The fact that it was an echo based one, but it makes sense. So yeah, I'm like, it's not lost on me how important, this faith versus science thread and theme is. And so when you have an episode that is so overtly about the science of the island and the experiments being led by the 2 most faithful people who have different ideas of faith. And then we know that all the experiments are all different kinds of experiments. So I just think that like, it's so artfully crafted in that way to have this be that kind of episode.
It's fascinating how they tackle this topic. I think you like said exactly what I think is interesting about this episode is it is a very science-based episode, but it's so ingrained about faith. And we see like 3 aspects of faith here. We see Locke clearly, who was kind of very radical at the beginning, and then is led by purpose. He has to like know what his purpose is. And we see that Echo is the same way, but almost to like a fanatical level, to the point of like, I will do things that go against logic just because of faith. And
yeah, it's like
Locke has that limit.
So here's the thing. They've had almost flipped experiences, right?
Yeah.
Locke's entire life felt like there was something he was like, there was like an itch he couldn't scratch. There's something there that's a purpose for him, that he doesn't know what it is. And then he gets on the island and then that's it. But then he figures out, oh, the countdown might not be what I think it is, and that starts to infect his brain because of not Henry Gale saying that. And then this episode, like further, it's like doubling down that this doesn't really matter. And so he's really struggling with that. You have the opposite form where you have someone who started off living their life very faithfully, but then like quickly like had to basically live in the hellish ways of life his entire time. And like his purpose was not what was his motivation. Like his motivation was, trying to absolve all of this kind of stuff in a way, or protect people in his way. And it's almost like he loses his faith and then has to find it again after it's like he doesn't believe that it's fate or destiny that his brother gets put on the plane and he has to take it. He does it because he has to, not because he like believes in it. And then he gets on this island and everything seems to be fated. So they both get on this island and it's like they double down or like shift their focus with their faith. And that's what I think is so interesting about this. And then you have people who are just so not faith driven at all.
Yes. And that's like the third one where it's like, there is no faith. They have no faith that good things are going to come their way, or that like, I feel bad for Hurley, and I'm glad they didn't harp on this where he blames himself for what happened to Libby. There's a touch of it in this episode, but it doesn't linger, which I'm appreciative of, which I think shows that what Libby's impact on Hurley was, like, it worked. Like,
yeah, I think what I worried about, and I don't think they will do this from a writing standpoint, is like it would be so easy for them to be like, and now we're going to show Hurley in the next few episodes like shoving food in his face again and binge eating. And I like that this direction seems to be like she has actually helped him heal. And like this is a way for him to stay strong because of her, not like weaken himself again. And I think that really those are the two directions you kind of go in when you face something like this. You either unfortunately, succumb to everything around you, or you fight through in spite of everything around you. And not saying that one is bad and one's good, but I just think that in his character's case, for all the reasons we've discussed over the past few episodes, I think it makes more sense for him. And also from like a fat shaming standpoint to like make him strong.
Yeah. And they're like, I love that they're taking a character who has been so ingrained as the comedy relief and really test him acting wise. He still has like a few funny moments, like not knowing in the next episode, like whether or not Libby was a psychologist or a psychiatrist.
She didn't go to medical school. She can't be a psychiatrist.
I know. He's like, what's one of them? And he just like says that. But I like that they're not focusing on the sad, or they're focusing on the sadness of this moment for Hurley, and nothing more than that, which I really like.
And I really appreciate too. I love that moment of, and I know this is in the second episode, but I like the protectiveness that Kate has with him in this moment, because the thing is he really hasn't, and maybe it would have been Charlie at first, but Charlie's on the outs. Like he doesn't have that one person, except for Libby became that one person who really had his back. Like people generally like him, and he doesn't have like any enemies on the island. But I just think that having somebody who can kind of like protect you a little bit when you're at your lowest is so important. Someone who's protecting what very little stamina, emotional health, and mental health that you have by like shutting up a person or something like that is so important, honestly. So
no, it really is. And I think like to get back to like the question mark episode, I think it's really well done how in typical shows like this, when a character dies, there's typically a lot of people moving on pretty quick.
Yeah.
And Hurley kind of brings them back to reality of like, hey, dude, we can't fucking think about revenge right now. 2 people just died. We need to bury them. Like, we need to like have a moment to mourn. And I really like that they do that in Lost, where if someone dies, they have a moment for them and they really like acknowledge that character and what they provided for the show, which I like.
Yeah. I really like that too. I also like the will she say anything aspect of this episode with Libby.
Yeah.
And you can see that every time she's trying to talk, she's trying to say Michael. And then she finally does. And I do find it a bit weird. Like, she dies in a horrifying facial expression. And it's not like it literally was just like, oh. That was like, oh, girl. And I like that they did like the thing that so often is cliche where they like kind of close her eyes, but she's still like, ah.
Yeah, her mouth is like, oh.
But I just, so that took me out of it just a second. But like, I can't believe Jack and Hurley. Like, I'm sure that Jack is just equating it to, oh, she's in pain and that's why her face is like that. But the way she says Michael isn't like Michael, it's Michael, like that, which is like, if I'm her, or if I'm watching her, I'd be questioning like, Michael, what? Not like, oh yeah, he's fine. It's like, Michael's okay, but what else, girl? Let's see if we can stay with us for like 2 more seconds. Can you?
He slaps her. All right, biatch. I need you to say more.
Shit. Did he? Okay, I need to take a step back. He made her overdose, right? That was the point with the heroin.
I think so. Yes, because she was good. Or I don't know if it was an overdose. I think he made sure that she wasn't in like extreme pain. Like, while
here's the thing,
he's dying.
You can't know what somebody can take, what they can't take with heroin.
That's true.
So the only way you could do it is give her way too much. And so she overdoses, right? Like, that's what I'm thinking. Also, she doesn't have a lot of blood. So
that shit's going to hit fast.
That's going to hit fast. You don't need that much. He
Yeah.
put in a whole fucking needle's worth. And I was like, oh, so he's killing her. That's the point. Okay, got it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of insinuated, yes.
But that was my point. I sat back and I was like, if you're removing the pain from her and she has that horrified face after she said, Michael, why don't we wake the fuck up, you dumbass doctor? I have had to, Dylan can attest to this. I had to unmute multiple times to say every single fucking person on the show is a big fucking moron.
They are.
Except Saeed. We'll get to that in the second episode.
Yes.
Everybody's a fucking moron.
I would say Saeed's pretty smart. I would say.
Oh, he's been dumb though.
Yeah, he's been dumb. I would say, despite him being super faith-driven, Echo seems to be pretty level-headed. Even though his motivations may be up for question, the way that he's not very smart. He didn't even track the dude that. He was like, Anna Lucia and Libby died. I'm gonna go.
Well, that's because his dreams told him not to. There's going to be a lot of distractions, but just focus on the question mark. I died. Also, why wouldn't he? This pissed me off so much. The fact that Locke was like, you had a dream about it. Fuck off. Boone died because you had a dream, you fucking asshole.
It's true. It's so true.
You had a fucking prophetic dream on this island. I was like,
Locke, don't act like this. Don't act like you don't know.
You also know that Boone had a prophetic dream. You know this island from firsthand experience that people have prophetic dreams. And the fact that Echo didn't say, she came to me shot, I knew she was dead when I woke up. Like, add that part in there. Explains why you were at the fucking hatch, because ain't nobody expecting you in the middle of the fucking night to show up at the hatch and just be like,
what's up, guys?
I have an axe, guys. You guys want me to go find somebody? No, I found out from a dream. Like, I was like, There's so much left out there that he should have said to Locke. And Locke, you're a fucking asshole. You should have just been able to go, yep, well, great, let's go.
Yeah, it was very strange. I don't know if you caught this also. There's like a huge continuity error in this episode. So
the daylight that all of a sudden Sawyer and Kate are on the beach.
Yes, that is
in the middle of the night. It's all the day. And I was like,
it's a huge continuity error. It makes literally no sense because they like leave in the middle of the night and it's like midday on the beach when they're like going to stuff, and then they get back and it's nighttime again, but it's supposed to be in the same day. It makes no sense.
Like, clearly it's like literally they shot it and like they had to throw out the footage and they're like, guys, we just got to shoot this again.
I think they had to or they had to do something because it's literally listed as a continuity error for this episode. Is like, so ignore like the daylight.
It's like I was so confused. I was like, what?
Yeah, I was like,
sense.
yeah.
I'm happy.
It's very strange.
Honestly, it's just even though there's good character moments, like I said, it's these moments that I'm talking about right now that drop it from a 10 to a 9. And that's literally it, because it is still a fantastic episode. And I really, really enjoyed it. And I really liked my assumption last week that we would be getting post plane leaving Echo in the past for memories was correct. And I was happy about that. What I thought was weird is that Echo says to somebody, oh yeah, I was a priest. And this was in the second episode. He's like, but I had this little boy in the back of the church, blah, blah, blah. And he says that was in England, but he was in fucking Australia. So
I think, so he's been a priest for a while, like in what we've seen. So,
well, they give us some fucking context.
It is a bit strange, but I do want to talk about his flashbacks because we see a character we have seen before. And this is another huge faith thing where Echo doesn't believe that this is a miracle. But by the end of the episode, we learn there is definitely something that happened to this little girl because she references the brother of Echo. I forgot his name.
Yemi.
And no one should know about Yemi. There's literally no way someone could pull up like a Google search on this guy and find Yemi. And so he's like, oh shit. So it brings it up to question. And you kind of brought this up. You like unmuted and talked about the psychic.
Yeah.
So do you believe the psychic actually has powers?
So here's my thing.
Doesn't know it.
Here's my thing.
Yeah.
So in the flashback, we see the psychic who is Claire's psychic. It's his daughter that supposedly has this, she died and came back to life experience. And he says, oh, it's my wife trying to get back at me because she knows I'm a fraud. I'm a medium and I'm fraudulent to people all the time, and I use them for information to make them think a miracle is going to happen to take their money so they keep coming back to me, right? Like that's what he says. Yeah. But clearly something did happen, and the way he was acting told me that I actually think he was like, shit, this really did happen, but I don't want to face this. So what I basically think happened was that this must have happened well before Claire goes to him, because I think that when he sees her, like he goes from like A to Z really quick. Like
he does. There's
there's a massive change, and he also becomes super obsessive. That's not a con, what he's doing at that point. Like he seemed very invested in what Claire's choices were going to be as like a mother and if she was going to raise the child and all these things. Like that's not you conning somebody out of money, because that goes beyond, oh, I've got information and performing miracles. Like that's not a miracle.
That's someone that I think it's like you're hit like he had a psychic vision or something and was not prepared to actually have a psychic vision because he's like, oh fuck, I'm real.
And I think that perhaps that after this experience with his daughter, it's like the gift is blessed to him in real life. Like I hate to bring this transphobic piece of literature up, but Harry Potter. There's the literal like psychic professor is
Yeah.
psychic, but doesn't know she is, honestly. Like she thinks she is. But she's basically a fraud, except for the fact that she does have these predictions, but just doesn't remember them when they happen, right? She's just
That's
like,
so
oh,
funny.
what happened? And they're like, you just fucking like made the biggest predictions in the world. But regardless. So I feel like there's something that like maybe he does have a gift and maybe like, I mean, you have to choose to become a medium for something, right? So
Yeah,
maybe
there's something
he
that it was like an own, like
yeah,
an
maybe he
honest
always felt
view.
like he had a sixth sense, or maybe he did have an experience and like was able to guess something correctly and then found out he could make money at it and then like come up with shit
Yeah.
and like do it that way, but like actually always had the gift but was like never able to actually utilize it
So
until Claire. That's
I
what I think.
think I think based off the timeline, this actually happens after the Claire thing, but I still think it's
What?
support.
How?
I think it still supports your theory because what I think happened is I do think he was a fraud. I do think he was like he's been a fraud this entire time. He has an actual psychic vision, becomes obsessed with this woman, and still has to con people because he doesn't have any more psychic visions. Where he's like he can't it's not like you can like summon it and command it to happen. It just
Right.
happened for this one girl. He became obsessed with her. And then continues to grift people and he continues to con people, which is why he doesn't believe that his daughter actually has this miraculous moment because his wife is pissed off at him. And maybe it's because, and this is just my theory. Again, I don't know. The wife is pissed at him maybe because he was so fanatic about this girl that he was like obsessive over, and then also because he's a con artist that has been conning psychic people. Because Claire had it for a good chunk of her pregnancy. This guy constantly, the psychic calling her and stuff like that, and Echo sees the girl, has all that stuff, and then like it's only like a few weeks and then he's like already on his flight back to Australia or out of Australia. And so there's not a lot of time in between when that happens and when he gets on this plane, but I still think your theory still works.
Yeah.
Based off the timeline.
Excuse me. The seltzer burp is about to happen. Excuse me.
I'm
Okay,
ready.
there we go.
Oh, we're ready, girl.
Oh, it happened. It's all good. So yeah, it's once again to be helpful to know, right? Because it
would
sounds
be,
like
yeah.
Echo had to put off his trip, and he also looks very different than he did when he went and visited the house. Like his hair is different, facial hair is all different, which could happen in 3 weeks.
Maybe, yeah.
3 weeks. Or it could have happened in 9 months. So it sounded like there was a reason. Also, I want to talk about this. There was a reason why the Monsignor wanted him to do this case.
I think the reason why, at least theory-wise, is because he didn't believe this woman. Because like because he's like their investigator of sorts. The church's like investigator. And so you don't want to send someone that believes. It's same with like it's silly, but like ghost hunters, they always talk about like, oh, you can't believe in ghosts and be a ghost hunter because then you're like you're always going to be looking for something.
I want you right now to realize that's literally me with fucking astrology.
That's not the same thing though, because you still look for things in astrology.
No, I laugh at the coincidence of astrology, but I'm not looking for it. That's my point. Is like I'm looking for like if something were to happen where I went, holy shit, that actually is real, great. But I don't believe in it. And I do it as a joke kind of thing. So that's why I think it's funny. You're like, oh yeah, you got these people who are like ghost hunters, but they don't believe in ghosts. And I'm like,
but I guess the
astrology, but I don't believe in it.
I guess the thing that I'm equating it to is that in order to hunt for something, you can't expect it to be there because then you're always going to convince yourself you found it. Correct. And that's kind of like I think why Echo is being sent on this is because if he were to believe that this is an actual miracle, he may like his belief may trump logic, which is kind of alliterated, or which is not alliterated, which is like showcased in the present day, where he has presented logic and his faith trumps it. So it's kind of like the polar opposites of how he was in the past and how he is in the present, where like there's a literal video that's like, hey, yo, this is an experiment. The button doesn't do anything. And he's just like, actually, I don't believe that. I think the button does mean something. But I have a question for you.
Well, hold on. Before that,
go on.
I wanted to give my interpretation of
Oh, yeah. Go for it.
So I think the Monsignor has him do it because he's challenging his faith. Because I think he realized that he's not like a real priest. And I think that what he was trying to do is get him to like come find all these details, challenge his faith, and then potentially become a better priest. Like I thought it was a way to challenge him as a person.
It could be, yeah.
Like actually be a good investigator for this, if that made sense.
No,
he says, I thought that you would be good for this. It's like the same way that every teacher in the world who's ever done something weird like that to try to teach the one kid and every or whatever does. So that's what I was thinking.
Got it. No, that makes sense.
I think both of our make sense.
I want to get your thought process though about this pearl hatch. So my first question for you is, do you think the Swan Station is an actual experiment, or do you think this is another lie that the Dharma Initiative is spreading? Because there is a camera that is watching the people in the Pearl Station, and Locke looks at this. He's just like, there's something off here. But it does stand to question I don't know. I'm just curious. There's like so many questions here.
So I have a theory.
Yes.
Number one, I absolutely think the others work for the Dharma Initiative.
Okay.
But like many people on the island are people who have gradually either been taken as they've been like shipwrecked or whatever on the island or whatever, but aren't like the original people. There might be a couple original people, but aren't the original researchers. And I believe all of them were supposed to be at the medical station, which was its own experiment. And I think what they're supposed to be doing is taking blood samples, and there's this whole, are you good or bad? And can we find if you're going to be good or bad based off of your blood or based off of whatever? I think that there's something to do with that, right? But I think that they are told something about the other stations in order to make them so like guarded and all the other stuff, right? I think every station is basically told one thing about like there must be a reason why the Swan Station is clearly the largest, right? And I think it's because of the Pearl stations, which is they have to watch the Swan Station. And so they're looking at somebody who's living in probably the most lifelike environment out of anything else, like the most like comfortable one, but they have this really mundane task they have to do all the time, but they've been told it's important and blah, 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 blah. So we're going to watch them. Meanwhile, I think something is going to be going on with the Pearl one. And then the medical one might have to do things of like try to like the people who are in the Swan Hatch are quarantined and their blood is contaminated, and you have to figure out like, how do we fix this? Like, I think every station has something that might be interconnected with the other ones that represent different areas of like psychology and other sciences. Like clearly the one in the Swan Station is, can we get somebody to do a mundane test because we tell them it's important over and over and over and over and over? And how long does it last? Do they go insane? All these different kinds of things, right? Then you have the Swan Station, which clearly they're like leaving every single day. Like they're not even on the island, I don't think. So that was the key part. I'm sitting there being like, bitch, you better find this fucking place they're talking about. Maybe get the fuck off the island.
Right.
And that's what I gleaned out of all. I don't give a shit about the button not making sense. They said you get to leave. So get the fuck out. Try to find the place where you leave. That's what I would have been doing. But regardless, like there's clearly different things, but everybody is being told what they are doing is important. And I think what they're trying to, the Dharma Initiative is working within the context of like this purgatory sense to see if people who are good, people who are conflicted, people who are bad, quote unquote, people who have all these things they need to face in their personal lives? Can they face them on the island and also be able to like conform in the same way? And that confirmation would be, we need you to do something because it's important. Does everybody respond to because it's important? And how does that make them change or stay the same? I think that is the ultimate meaning of this entire island. That's what I got out of this theory.
That's a big ass theory.
Bitch, and it's
100%
right. 100% right.
100% right. And so any other thoughts?
By the way, is I need someone when we are done with all 6 seasons of Lost to have gone through and figured out every theory that I ever said and like make like a clip of like, was this right or not? And then like, I mean, it's going to be a whole video of me being correct for like,
of course. Yes, of course. So any other thoughts of this episode before we get into MVP and LVP?
Trying to think what else happened. There's also this weird thing with Charlie being kind of upset with Echo leaving. And I think it's because, first of all, he finally had
that's more in the second episode, but yeah.
It starts with this one.
Yeah, it does.
It's a small part that I'll just mention it here. And that way we don't have to really mention too much more. But Charlie's upset because it's like the one person who'd like talk to him on the island abandons him for some like quest, in the middle of the night and like doesn't tell him anything about it. And
and Charlie just seems hurt. I think that maybe there's going to be further developments there, but basically they had this quest to build a church. Echo abandons it, but Charlie seems like he still wants to continue to build this church just on the precedence of like, this was a goal that I had. And now it's
also side note. I think the reason why he's not withdrawing or going through withdrawal is purely because of the healing powers of the island.
Yeah.
That's a side note theory. Putting that out there.
No, I think you said that earlier too, which is like his withdrawal symptoms have been pretty lessened.
He didn't really have any.
Yeah. And he recovered very quickly.
He recovered incredibly quickly. And we saw today that Locke's fine now. So, here we go.
Yeah, he just like gets up and leaves.
He's just like, I've decided now is a time that I don't need this splint anymore. Goodbye. And then like walks away. And I'm like, oh, God, it's been like 4 fucking days.
That's like, you must be good, you fucking idiot. Okay, so who is your MVP and who is your LVP as I fix this chair?
My MVP is going to be Echo.
Okay.
Because I like that he's revitalizing the faith part of this again. I think some of it is interesting. Why? But cool. Why? But I do. Because of him, we find out where the question mark is. We find the Pearl Station, and I think that he is able to kind of convince Locke, and we know that Locke is both at his best and worst when he has a faith-filled quest to do. So he's able to kind of, I think, really convince Locke that, like, dude, like, a lot of this is faded. Like, we gotta talk about this. So I'm gonna give him the MVP. Also, I think his memories were really interesting and they tie in so much of what we're talking about. But I'm going to give LVP. I almost wanted to give MVP just for a side note. There was a moment where I was like, you're fucking right. I wanted to give MVP to Sawyer for a second because he was like, hey, Doc, who the fuck's going to take care of Libby when you're out doing revenge? And I'm like, thank you. Because someone again, Jack is the fucking worst doctor on the fucking planet. But at the same time, but the thing is like, he's not. Like, he's just like a horrible person, but he's like not a bad doctor. And I think he's a
pretty shit doctor sometimes.
Oh, 100%. But it's just, I don't know. I'm just like, dude, you just can't be leading. And like, if your role is the doctor and you're not taking any turn trying to tell people how to take care of other people, then you need to shut the fuck up, sit down, do your job. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. So anyway, so that was funny. But I think my LVP is going to go to Locke because I just think it was so out of character for him. And I don't care if you're defeatist at all. Like, even if you're the most broken and somebody comes to you with a glimmer of hope and you're that faithful, I believe his character would perk up. He might be defensive at first, but I just felt like it was weird. And then it wasn't until it just, I don't know. I just think that he was just such a wet blanket the entire time. And I'm like, this doesn't make sense for your character. So I'm making him.
Yeah, no, I think that makes complete sense. One thing before we get into the next episode, this unlocked like a memory of mine.
Oh.
I forgot that at the end of season 3, we have some amazing videos to watch because Lost had a spin-off mini-series. They were called Mobisodes. So that were on phones.
Oh, cool.
And there were 13 of them. Each of them is only like 1 to 2 minutes, like 2 to 3 minutes long, basically.
Okay.
And then each of them answers a question that about from the first 3 seasons.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And I forgot, does the 3rd season have like 20 some episodes again, or is this the one that gets cut short? Okay, this one.
Yeah. Cool. I'm going to give you as a teaser, and you don't know when these episode titles show up. They could be in season 1, 2, or 3. They're like mixed in all in between these mobisodes. I'm going to give you the titles of these episodes, just something to think about. Okay.
I want you to know how much I fucking hate you. So number 1, I said this at the end of these 2 episodes. We end with another fucking boat, and I'm like, so I know we're going to talk about that, but I'm like, what the fuck? Who's on the boat? What's it about? Why do I have to wait another fucking week? And he's like, now you have to wait another week. And he's like, I'm so happy that the nanny doesn't have any cliffhangers. And the best part is there are like 3 cliffhangers in the nanny. And you better believe, y'all, we're going to take like a 7-week break. And I'm not going to allow this fucker to watch it. It's going to be great.
I can't wait. I can't wait for next week. Okay, so the title of these mobisodes is The Watch, The Adventures of Hurley and Frogurt, King of the Castle, The Deal, Operation Sleeper, Room 23, Arts and Crafts, Buried Secrets, Tropical Depression, Jack Meet Ethan, Ethan, Jack. Jin has a temper tantrum on the golf course, The Envelope, and So It Begins. And each of them, some of them, they answer questions. Some of them, they ask more questions. Some of them, they're just silly fucking side stories of characters that maybe didn't get enough screen time. And
Very cool.
It's gonna be fun. I'm excited for because I remember stuff that happens in these mobisodes thinking they happen in episodes. And then realizing that they're in mobisodes. And I'm like, oh, now I'm very excited for these mobisodes. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, sorry. On to the next episode, 3 minutes. Thoughts, feelings, concerns, rating.
So this one was also incredibly good. I'm going to give this one a 9 out of 10 as well. This is a really great episode. I called a couple parts of it. So you weren't as slick as you thought, Lost, for once. So like, for example, I called the moment that Michael and Saeed are talking. I was like, Saeed got his number. Like Saeed is a walking lie detector. So he knows, like, this is great.
Yeah.
So I knew that. I also knew that there was, like, he clearly was looking for those specific people, because how would you not want Locke and Saeed to come with you if possible? Like, you.
I mean, yeah.
So then it made me really think about who the people are that the others want Michael to bring back. So it's Jack, Kate, Hurley,
and Sawyer.
And I think all of them, except for Hurley. Hurley's a little bit of a question mark for me. But all of them would be considered the bad people. So it's interesting that they want them when earlier the others were only taking innocent good people, right?
Yeah.
So it tells me that when we're hearing a little bit more about what they're doing, we found out they're running tests on Walt. We found out that they're doing. They took a blood sample from Michael the moment he got there. Like, I think that there's something to be said about And it's interesting, like, you had Kate. Why not just take her then?
So maybe, I don't know, that makes you think, like, is that their motivation here? Like, do they want them? Or
I think they just
there's a
want a
lot of
blood
questions.
sample from them, and then they're gonna like let them go. Like, clearly, like, yeah, Alex helped Claire escape, but to be perfectly frank, like, it's stupid that they didn't find her. Like, that does not make sense writing
It's
wise.
so dumb how they didn't find
It
Claire. I really
doesn't
don't
make sense
understand that.
at all.
That girl
These were like the
barely
best
got away.
trackers.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that made no sense. But regardless, like, the whole point being, like, I think what they want is like something with their DNA, their blood, use them for questioning or psychological analysis, that kind of thing, and go from there. Um, so anyway, so like what we find out with Michael is that what I like is that all of the memories are what happens, from
Yeah.
when he
Our
was.
second episode of all the flashbacks being on the island.
Yeah,
Since
so
Claire.
it was really fun. What'd you say?
I said since Claire, like since that episode with Claire,
Yeah.
all the
So this
flashbacks
is the
occurring on the island.
third episode. Then all the episodes are flash because we had the tail end of the plane
Yes,
episode.
that is true.
So,
that is very true.
So this is really cool, and it's interesting because we get a lot from Walt when he finally gets to see Walt. Walt looks good, by the way. I missed him.
Yeah, I missed him too. Like seeing him here, I was just like, oh.
I love that they clearly chose nighttime in order to try to like lessen like your ability to see how much he's aged.
And they put him in baggy ass clothes to make sure that like
I was like, those teeth are way bigger than they were before he got adult teeth, bitch. Like it was so funny. But I really like that he is able to spill so much information.
Oh yeah.
That even if it's a little coded, it's still something.
And Miss Clue, we get a new character.
Yes. Oh, girl. I loved her.
Oh, she is so mysterious.
She's the moment. She's the moment.
It's so funny too, because like
spoiler alert, she's my MVP.
Oh, really?
No, I just wanted to say that.
Oh, I was like, that's very weird, but okay.
You're like, why?
I don't know why.
She is the moment though.
I don't know why. I think it's because like season 3 was the season that like I was off and on with Lost. I forgot about Miss Clue until I see her, and then I'm like, oh my god, it unlocked so many memories about Miss Clue, and so I'm excited that Miss Clue is in this episode.
Yeah, so it's pretty sweet. So we find out from Walt that they're making him do tests. We also understand from the questioning that Miss Clue gives to Michael that it's obvious that they're trying to figure out what kind of special abilities he has, right?
Yeah.
Now Walt's able to say they're doing tests. They run tests on me. They're pretending they're not who they're saying they are, which I think further shows like, so it's interesting. A lot of what Michael was telling everybody, I thought would just be a straight up lie, but he's telling the truth. He only saw the 2 guns, but he's lying in that part too, because he saw them take the 5 guns. So I don't know what the fuck he's thinking, but regardless.
Yeah.
So they do live in these canvas huts and teepees and such, and they're wearing the stuff. They're doing dry fish. Like everything he said and explained is true. But I think that's the image they're trying to show him and not what they're actually doing. And we also know that there's costumes and all these different kinds of things too. So once again, I think that he is not an other, as we now know, which I was like, I kind of thought maybe he'd become an other or like had been like infected in some way. I think what we're seeing now is no, he was just really desperate to get his son back and was willing to do whatever it took.
Apparently committing murder.
Killing 2 people who one of which we already had a contract end at the end of the season and also was involved in a DUI, and the other one who was had a DUI, and they just wrote her off the show. So good times.
So like, we got to get rid of you. Sorry, you might be in jail. So
I found that out after last episode, but before watching these 2 episodes, and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So, but yeah, so it's just interesting. Like we understand like his motivation a little bit more, But I'm happy that Saeed is able to catch like, oh, I think he's compromised. Like, I think that he would do whatever it takes, but I don't think we need to trust him. We need to make him feel like he's still in control. And so they're just going to put together that plan. Now, what I think is also interesting about this whole situation is how willing everybody is just to like listen to Michael. I just don't get it. Like, this is
They're
somebody
like,
who
it's your son. You'll do what you want. I was like, fuck that shit.
no, like
yeah,
my
you're
whole
crazy. Like
it's
crazy in the sense that like you literally held us at fucking gunpoint to steal a gun.
That's my point. That's exactly what my point is. When you left, you knocked Lockout and you held Jack at gunpoint to lock them both in the armory so that you could escape.
Right.
And then you come back and everyone's like, Michael, so good to see you. Sure, let's believe everything you say.
It's
and
so weird.
A bitch literally dies going, Michael! Ah! And then like dies. And like literally they're like, Michael's okay. I'm like, fuck off. Put 2 and 2 together, you dumb bitches. Like, everyone's dumb.
Logical reasoning is not on the menu.
Honestly, I understand why the Dharma Initiative is after these people, because literally every single one's a fucking moron. So they're like, let's just see, do they even know how to wipe their own asses? No, they don't. Like, it's just like, it's so bad. It's bad.
It's also weird to me that they have not checked this place for cameras. I just find that weird.
Also, why aren't Locke and Echo saying anything? By the way, there's cameras here.
Yeah, so people are watching you as you scratch yourself.
I'm sorry, we lost the trail. We ended up at the airplane, and we discovered this underneath the airplane.
Because you know that they hate to share secrets, apparently, in this group. They love to act like they work together.
Insane.
They're like, let's work together. And they proceed to do literally anything they can to not work together.
Which I think is actually probably part of the experiment, right? Because they keep having all of these different stations. You have a partner that you're switching on and off with. Yeah. And you're like, I think that's the whole point. How much information are you sharing with your partner? Right.
Yeah. Okay. So here's another theory then to kind of go back to question mark.
Also, I do have a question.
Yeah.
This is one I've had for a while. I keep asking or forgetting to ask it. When you're in the hatch and you're putting in the numbers, can you do that at any time? So could it literally be like 107 seconds left and you still can do it, the numbers?
Yeah.
Bitch, the way I'd be like, oh, we're about to leave the hatch. Okay, let's go. And they all were like, well,
right.
We'll go off in like 5 minutes. I'm like, why don't you just do it now, you dipshit?
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
So it's okay. So question first off. So giant magnet in the hatch. We see that again with Echo's crucifix or cross on his necklace. Seems pretty powerful. Do you think that is just for show, or do you think that there is like something behind that giant cement wall? And second question, what do you think the Dharma Initiative is doing with those notebooks? Because clearly they want all these observations and they're sending them off in the pneumatic tube. What do you think that the Dharma Initiative is gathering with that info?
So it's also clear that the Pearl station has not been active in a long time.
Yeah, it's so dusty. Oh my God.
It's dusty. Like everything's been turned off except for like one TV screen. Like, it's like.
Oh, sorry. Go on. I was just going to say, I'm wondering if it's super dusty because a giant airplane landed on top of the hatch. So maybe it jostled some stuff, but
even still, if it was regularly being used, this would have been way harder. This would have been way easier to find. Right.
And it was purposely hidden. Like someone had put dirt over the hatch door. Yeah.
So I think like the whole point though is like, I honestly think that that station has not been used for a while. In the same way that we saw another station is no longer in use at all. That's what the tailies were at. Yep. And then we see the medical one has been recently abandoned by the others. And we don't know for sure confirmed, even though we know Beth's right, that the others occupied that for the Dharma Initiative, or if they just found it and they took over.
Yeah.
Right? The others know about the Swan Station, and wouldn't you think they'd want that if it was important to them? And
Yeah,
so
like
that's
they'd want
why
to
I
use
think
the Pearl Station to like spy on them.
right. So I don't think that they know about the Pearl Station, which tells
Okay.
me that because they're so good at knowing what the fuck's going on in this island, like that's a portion of it. I think the electromagnetic force is the healing ish like factor
Okay.
here. So I think that is legitimately a thing on the island. I think it's part of the healing nature of the island, like the
Yeah.
electromagnetic waves that it sends out. I think that's like the pseudoscience explanation they're going to use
Yeah.
for that. So I do think that that's a real thing.
Okay. Cool.
Whereas like in real life, if I was like, I would be like, this is cancer causing. Like,
right?
Yeah,
That's
like,
how I
like
would feel
living in
too.
a
I'd be like,
power
I
line.
don't want to be in this hatch. Like,
Mm.
I don't
But I also
know.
kind of wonder maybe that's why people were quarantined down there. Maybe that's a reason is because they were like, you're going to
Maybe.
get a shit ton of electromagnetic shit on you because it's here.
Possibly. You never know.
I don't know.
Cool. Is there anything else to cover for 3 minutes? I think the
Yes.
bulk. Oh, yes.
We need to cover and acknowledge Charlie just randomly finds like a briefcase full of vaccines
Oh,
and
what
it
the
gives this
fuck was
and
this
then
scene?
it doesn't even give it to Jack to be like, hey, is this shit legitimate? Which, by the way, Jack's a shit doctor, so I understand the whatever.
Yes.
But wouldn't you think you'd be like, hey, found these vaccines in the middle of the jungle?
Hey, put them in your arm and your baby. Great idea.
Like, what the
I tried
fuck?
one. I did it once on me. I feel great.
Oh, you're gonna love it. This gun just goes into your thigh like this. And she's like, how do you know that? I want to be like, because he's used to needles. Like, I don't think you need to.
Yeah, right. I also find it weird that Claire is just so okay with Charlie being near her again.
It's
Like I
does
get
this island
time,
make you forget? Like it heals you, but you also forget every 3 days.
like time heals all wounds, I guess, or some wounds, but
And
like,
then this island time is quick. So I guess
girl, it's been like if feel like a
10
week
days
and a
top.
half. Yeah, 10 days, something like that. And she's
Also,
just like,
that baby,
okay.
that baby grew, bitch.
Oh my god. That baby was like, what up, mom? Like, you're like, what the hell?
Mom, I'm gonna take the car out.
It's like, Jesus, this thing's huge.
And then we
That's
also
crazy.
do see this moment where Vincent discovers where Sawyer had kept all the guns and
Vincent's an asshole, we're
heroin stuff.
learning.
And yeah, brings the heroin right to Charlie. And I'm like, that fucking honestly, Vincent's fucking MVP because that bitch is shady as fuck.
They hit the dog like, oh, you want this? He's
You
like,
want
you
it,
get this?
don't you?
Come
It would
tease
have been
me.
even better if it was like, wrestle it with me.
It
Do
breaks
you
it.
really want it?
The heroin gets everywhere, all over Charlie's face, and he's like, oh.
Oh, then it would turn into that scene from Pulp Fiction where she snorts the heroin thinking it's Coke. Do you know? Have you seen
Oh my
Pulp
god,
Fiction?
I have not seen that movie in so long. Isn't that where like, with all the trippy colors?
Kind of, yeah. But it's when Uma Thurman thinks that she's doing a line of Coke and she snorts a line of heroin and ODs, and
Oh, that I don't remember that.
John
then.
Travolta's character has to like take adrenaline needle and like put it in her chest, and she breathes and such again. It's awesome.
Oh my god, I don't.
She literally
maybe I
gets,
haven't
like,
seen Pulp Fiction. Maybe I'm thinking of a different
oh,
movie.
it's so good. It's so good. I know Quentin Tarantino's like a fucking loser, but like
Hey,
I
I
do
still love Kill Bill.
You know what? And Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 are like the 2 movies of his I've never seen. I need to see it.
We need to do a movie night. We need to do
Okay.
a movie night.
We watch
it's
those.
so good.
You have got to watch Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, I'm
You've got
down.
to.
I'm down.
Also, Inglourious Bastards is one of my all-time favorite movies.
I do like Inglourious Bastards. I do.
That was a good one.
Anyway,
yeah. So that was weird, but then we do also get to see Charlie throw all the Virgin Mary statues that are discovered into the ocean. But like as I said to Dylan, first of all, those could float because it's full of air.
Yeah.
So why aren't you breaking each statue and then taking each bag and just putting it into the ocean? Because like then you can't get it back. So even Like I
Yeah.
just like, ah.
And they're gonna wash up on shore.
Right. It's like, great, you threw it 10 feet, so it's going to float back to shore, or you're going to be swimming around and there's a Virgin Mary statue down there. And if you break it open, guess what? There's still a plastic bag in there that might have been protecting it. You just need to tear it open so that the loose shit goes in the ocean. And then you have incredibly stoned fish and they're easier to catch.
That's true. But I'm also wondering, a part of me is like, this is such a waste of like heroin that could be used like as a weapon or like used as like, I'm just like, give it to Jack. Just let Jack.
That's smart.
I guess. Like fill
Jack
that shit with
was literally
syringes
like,
and attack the others with
yes,
it.
I'm
Like,
gonna need heroin to OD this person. So at the like last moment, as if this had been like something he'd ever thought about beforehand.
yeah, it was like weird. Okay, so MVP you gave to Miss Clue. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Who's your MVP and LVP?
I can't give MVP to Michael as much as I would like to, because oftentimes we are so clouded in our passion for what we are trying to do that we fail to see how it's going to impact other people. I cannot, even though I know he's trying to get his son back and he gets to see his son and he gets all this information, it clouds his better judgment. And it also results in 2 innocent people die. Well, one not so innocent person who I'm frankly happy to see die. And then Libby, and who I was just learning if she was like interesting or not. And she finally got interesting and they fucking kill her. And I'm like, oh God.
Right?
I have so few women who are interesting. And she was one of them. Now you killed 2 fucking women.
They're getting them out of here.
They're like, all right, we got to go back to just Kate and Son. They're the only 2 women we care about in the show.
Sure. Claire, you're no one.
Claire, you're no one. Rousseau, we'll call you.
Alex, thanks for helping, I guess.
Yeah. Rose, when we need like a wise moment for someone, an old faithful woman, we'll tear you out here. But that's
literally about it. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna give MVP to Saeed because he catches on.
He's smart. Yeah, he's a smart cookie.
Dude.
LVP?
It's gonna be Michael.
Yeah.
I feel like I have to give Michael LVP, but I want to do it in a way that's like honoring, like I understand.
But he's also, like going through a lot. So
you're going through a lot, bud. I get it.
But also the task he was given was like almost impossible. So like a part of me is like, he has succeeded. The 4 people are apparently going to go on this trip. Like the fact that he somehow convinced Hurley to do that, I'm like,
he didn't convince Hurley to do that. Hurley convinced himself to do it.
Hurley convinced him, yeah. But I think like if he had not pushed Hurley the way that he did, Hurley wouldn't have even considered going on that trip. And now that he's like, it's in his brain. But I do think he is dumb as fuck.
I just sit there and I'm like, dude, you fucking killed his one chance at love on this island. And then you're like, dude, you gotta come with me. And he's like, I'm kind of grieving here. And he's like, and now you're going to potentially leave him to his own grave. What the fuck?
Yeah, like, Michael's a fuckhead. Holy shit.
Yeah. It's just, you know what he could have easily have done? He could have easily said, this is exactly what they sent me to do. And then they could have formulated a plan. And then all of them who he said could have gone together. Like, I don't understand why you had to shoot people.
Yeah, it's like, hey, they're making me have to hand over Henry. And like, yeah, just like loop them in and just like let them know like they will kill Walt and like even lie if you have to like make it apparent. But
but that's not as interesting, Dylan. So
it's true. It is true. Speaking of interesting, the finale, the 2-part finale next week. Are you ready? It is called Live Together, Die Alone, Part 1 and Part 2. Who do you think this is a centric episode of?
I feel like one or both of them are going to be like an everybody episode, like they did last season. I think that made sense, and I think it was a great way to do this. And then I think I feel like it's got to be Jack or Locke, probably.
Are you ready? Both centric episodes are about Desmond.
Oh shit! Yeah! Work. I'm excited.
It's so fucking good. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. I'm like
We have
somewhat
massive
tempted to give you the synopsis, but I don't want to tease you.
I don't want you to
tease you. I just want you to experience.
You got me, Desmond. That's all I care about. I don't want to hear a single thing from anybody about next week's episode.
Also, I will go on record and say Desmond is one of my favorite characters in Lost. I'm just like, I'm so excited.
He does have a good tushy, so
he has a great butt. Great butt. Okay, so we will see you all next week for Live Together, Die Alone Parts 1 and Part 2. The finale of season 2. It's going to be exciting. And then we're going to do our season wrap up the week after that. Probably just a Thursday episode.
Yeah.
Of us covering both The Nanny and Lost. So that's something.
Then we start March with season 3 of both shows.
And season 3. Oh, the season 3 premiere is you're gonna fucking shit your pants. It's so good. Like, let me think. Let me actually just see. So wait, we have 2 there, 2 there, 2 there. Oh, it's perfect. Perfect amount of episodes for us to do 2 a week. I just want to make sure, just like we will always have 2 a week.
Yeah.
For all of them. It's going to be great.
I'm excited.
It's so good. So thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will see you all next week. And until then, stay awesome, stay beautiful, you lovely people.
And follow us on Hot West Moments on Twitter.
Yes, do that, please. Bye.
Like and subscribe.